I think there's been a lot of debate about this digitization, how exactly to integrate it, whether it can be done seamlessly. And really, here's one company that if any of you have visited their large stores abroad particularly, will understand have done it with extreme efficiency. They've been in India for a while, but now they're looking to do other things and diversify the role that they've built for India. So may I invite on stage Rakesh Mishra. He heads marketing, digital and creative for Target India, and he's going to share his experiences.
Thank you, Mithali. Good afternoon, everyone. First thing first, after the 9 luminaries that shared their experience, if you accumulate all of the years that they have spent in retail, I am nobody. You pretty much heard 100 years worth of experiences. And what I'm going to share probably is things that they have already spoken about. But the reason I think I'm excited about being here and getting an opportunity to speak to you is the organization that I represent. So just to give you a brief introduction, I'm from Target. Target is one of the leading retailers in the US. I head marketing for them in India. We do not have stores here. We work as an alternate headquarter location. And then, in fact, I was not supposed to be here. Our managing director, Navneet Kapoor, was supposed to be here, but he had to urgently go to the US, so I have been the lucky person to be taking his position and speaking to you guys. So I feel privileged. But most importantly, what I really feel inspired about is whatever that I've seen in the last 2 days. I think the India Retail Forum, in its decades of existence, have put together such a beautiful forum, which I would call it as an ecosystem of sorts. So thank you to IRF, thank you to Amitav and the organizing team for putting together such a brilliant show. Thanks to Mithali for keeping everybody really energized despite the rain. So here I am, I think, talking about shaping the future of retail. And my first slide says that it's not about shaping the future. The future is already here. We talk about what will happen in a couple of years or a few years, but what we are dealing with is things that have fundamentally changed in the last few years, and the future is upon us. And there are two aspects that I would quickly call out. One is this sheer connectedness that the consumers have today. And second is the democratization that has happened thanks to technology that has fundamentally changed the way we operate as a business within the retail landscape. And that's why the future is not anywhere in the future, but future is here already. Okay, second, I think over the last 1.5 days, all of us have heard about the tremendous sort of things that we are seeing in India. It's 1 billion people, it's $1 trillion economy. It's a land that has got a unbelievable percentage of vibrant youth. And by virtue of that, I think it's a land of immense potential. You can talk about X billion of dollars today, Y billion of dollars in a few years. But I think it's very clear that this country is in a kind of a place where we are waiting for something big to happen. And that's where I think as an organization, we are talking about India not just as a land of potential. I think India is a land of inspiration. Here is a land where millions of ideas are brewing every day. You see a very vibrant ecosystem of startups that are fundamentally disrupting the businesses. Though my previous speaker, Anurag, spoke about there is not a true product company here, but honestly, the amount of ideas that are out there, the kind of experiments that are happening, I think you'll have to be really excited about how do you take that and really scale it and something big can come out of that. So that's where we are. I think the next thing I talked about in our panel yesterday is, for most part, all of you all of us, when we are doing business, we sometimes think that, hey, we have a desire to do the business, we have the capital, and we will be interested to do something. But we don't take enough moment to think about what's our core reason? Why do we exist? Why do we do what we do? And that's the part I think that is critical to understand the vision of what you would set out to do. And we at Target, I would say, in the last 4 years, we did really, really hard introspection of how we would deal with these fundamental disruptions that are happening in retail as digital and physical are merging together. And we figured out that our purpose would have to be very, very clear, and that we defined as fulfilling the needs and fuel the potential of our guests. So understanding that becomes really critical. The next is, again, all of us have talked a lot about businesses over the last 1.5 days, but for Target, as we think about our business, we do not think about it without the fundamental focus, which has to be our consumers. And at Target, for the longest period of time, we do not even call them consumers. We call them guests. Uttering the word consumer or customer is almost like a taboo in the culture that we have built, that we have to think of them as guests. Guests becomes very, very personal. And as we have seen this transformation happening, and what I was talking about our purpose, we are actually saying that even that has to be redefined a little bit in terms of what we can do to the guest, not what they can do to us. And that's where we are saying that, hey, it's not just adequate enough to be guest-focused or guest-centric. It is important that we understand that we have to be absolutely, great hosts. So think of like when you are hosting somebody at home, you almost go to the extra length of figuring out what your guest likes, what dish she likes or what dish he likes, and you try to make that. You almost think about what drinks typically he has, and then you keep that at home. So I think guests are someone that we are trying to kind of cater to, but we don't necessarily sort of control them or own them. But what we control is what we can bring to bear, and that is we can be great hosts. So it's a fundamental shift of mindset. At Target, over the last 4 years, we have made a very, very fundamental shift that every decision that we take, we have to take it within a guest lens. So the tiniest of decisions will have to be thought about. What is it's going to do for guests? Next, that I would talk about, we have talked a lot about this consumption economy, but the consumption, as we traditionally look at, it's a transaction. It's just the physical transaction of a product being sold or a service being sold. And all that we are saying is that consumption is not anymore a mere transaction of products or services. It is actually the entire life cycle of that consumption, which starts from information seeking to engagement to the final, sort of the transaction, and then sort of the after experiences of it and the sharing of that feedback, and then potentially getting re-engaged all the way through. So it's a complete circle. And today, technology provides us that opportunity. So thinking about the whole notion of the engagement with customers with this circle of consumption will fundamentally change how we want to engage with them. So it's the circle of consumption that's important. Just to share some examples for a global retailer like ours, we have a very active Pinterest sort of presence and what we do there. We don't think of Pinterest as any way like a physical transaction at all. It's a place where Target is to inspire its guests, to engage with them without any selfish motive. We have also looked at that as a platform or a forum to co-create stuff that will define our future. So It's fundamentally that understanding of how do we think about consumption as a whole circle, not necessarily the mere transaction. The next one, and again, everybody talks about it from a retail context, that in this kind of sort of the complex business, it's a business that's getting fundamentally disrupted at every level. What you will do to succeed is really, really go back and think about the fundamentals. Think about everything, like how do you make sure that you have got the right products at the right time? And I talked about it yesterday a little bit, that the whole notion of physical to digital to multi-channel to omni-channel, we at Target are starting to focus on what we call as on-demand. On-demand means not just on-demand products, but on-demand services, on-demand information, on-demand feedback, on-demand conversations. So at any point of time, we are ready to meet the guest where the guest is projected to go. And that's just the concept of what we say, focus on fundamentals. And technology is a huge, huge part of this. Yesterday, we again talked about technology as a differentiated, like it's almost like an enabler. But technology today, you can't even segregate it from the business. It's a core component of the business that we do. The next one is this whole notion of digital and physical. And many panelists, many speakers talked about it. For most part, the way we think about it is almost these are two different things. We have e-commerce retailers, we have physical retailers. But the way we think about it is that we are primarily a brick-and-mortar retailer, but we have a thriving e-commerce business. Target.com site is the 5th most visited site in the US. But we think of this as a truly integrated approach. You cannot segregate both of these. Even if you have an e-commerce play, I think today guests are looking at it at every physical touch point of that e-commerce play. They're looking to expect the same experience that a physical brick and mortar provides. So that means we cannot segregate. It has to be thought of in a fusion manner that the physical and digital would have to have a golden handshake. And that's the part that we are extremely proud of. Some of the things that we are doing in this space is, how do you think of inventory as one inventory? How do you think of fulfillment as one fulfillment? How do you think of physical stores as a touch point for your guests? And those are things that will make you really scale up the digital side of the business if you are kind of getting into that, or if you are kind of big there, how do you make sure that you have a focus on the physical part as well? The next one is, if you were to do this in this future focus thing, I think the prior panel already talked about it, is that we have to be a learning organization. Each one of us will have to be a learner because things are changing rapidly. Things are disrupting in a way that if we don't pay attention, we will be losing out for a long time. And hence, as an organization, each one of us will have to bring that culture of learning. And it's not easy. It looks easy, but it's not easy. It's a huge mindset change. For most part, we would have thought about doing something, and we would just go ahead and do it. So it's something that I think we need to think about when you look at our organization. The next one is transformation. Everybody talks about transformation as a pivotal point of time that you do something and restructure the organization. Transformation is not that in today's context. Transformation is a constant state of changes that you need to have within the business. What worked, let's say, a month ago may not change. Seasons should have changed. Climatic changes that are occurring are changing. Things around sustainability that was not such a big deal yesterday has all of a sudden become a big deal. Consumers are wanting to know, where was my product made, how was it sourced, who all kind of sort of made it, who all are benefiting from it. I think there is a very, very different sense of ownership that they're putting into that. So hence, it becomes extremely important that we think about changing our business in order to be successful in this changing future. Next, I think one word that resonated over the last 1.5 days is partnership. Nobody can do it alone. You have to be a part of this ecosystem. I wanted to share just quick one example. We have a We have an accelerator where we work with new product companies, new startups. For the last 1.5 years, we already graduated 16 new product startups in a 16 weeks intense program. What we do is we actually provide them a business case. We work with them and try to take that idea into something really, really physical or digital within the target ecosystem. And currently, we are working with 6 of them in the current batch. And as I speak, even almost all of them are maturing a particular business case within our ecosystem. So we'll have to be together as we try to do this, and we have to learn from each other. We'll have to grow together and develop together. The next one, again, a cliche term, but it's not a quick fix. It's not an overnight thing that can happen that you can pretty much redefine the future of retail. I think it's something that we'll have to do for the long term. It's a long haul. And I would say I'm really, really excited. I'm a marketer by heart. I'm a marketer by profession. And I see tremendous potential for us to be together in this long haul. Whatever in marketing that I learned in the last, let's say, 2 decades, I would say the next 2 years, you would have almost equal amount of learning. Because if you have to be successful, you'll have to really, really figure it out. So I'm really, really excited and looking forward to this journey. And let's be in this together. Hope you find it a little bit of connect, a little bit of value, a little bit of sum up of everything that you have heard with a global retailer lens. And thank you so much. I know I'm holding you between lunch, so thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much. That's Team Target. Warm round of applause, please.